Folks, welcome back. Welcome back to the junkyard. That's what this looks like. A little bit like a junkyard. Let's make some room here. All these paints and cars vying for my attention. I was gonna say, I can only work on one car at once, but that's not true. Sometimes I have to work on multiple of them due to drying time, etc. Let's get the glues down here. It seems to be a pretty decent place for that. And we don't need these glasses. We don't need them right now. We got our eyes out, as I like to say. We gained another one of these. Get back to our starting point. And this can move as well. All right, so yesterday we were working on the Firebomb Fandango, which is this Dodge Durango that has Fandango written on it. And I picked it up at the bargain bin at Vintage Toy King. And get rid of all these little scraps that we had yesterday. No, you need to go in this little bin, little asshole. Man, there's all kinds of crazy shit I see on the internet. I'm not even looking for crazy stuff. I'm just talking on Facebook, or I was having my breakfast before I go on here. And there was some article, and I was like, man, I'm not going to mention it online. Well, yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm going to mention it online. I pretty much speak my mind on here. There's some crazy. I just don't understand. I just don't understand the trollery. The trollery on the internet. Because you got all kinds of stuff you got all kinds of things on here. Good morning. I don't understand people making not using their real. I mean, I can understand people not using their real name for things, but I don't understand like using a fake name to just the equivalent version of crank calling. And I'm not talking about on this channel and people that may occasionally do that, because you can have fun, but if you're out there to no good, you're out of here, right? You know how to behave, right? Thanks, man. Well, it doesn't look like it right now, but it will be. It's got a lot of parts that are just plain black, but hopefully we'll make it look like something a little bit more interesting. Well, it's not going to be this interesting. This is, extremely apocalyptic. But like some of the other ones. Where did the other guys go? I had him here just a second ago. Hey, here we go. Yeah, something like this. Maybe not as interesting as that one. It looks like it's got freaking Mexican wallpaper. It's driving around with it. I've been to Mexico many times. There's no wallpaper that looks like that. This is over the top. This is a little bit more Mardi Gras, actually. But yeah, it's super cool. They have these really neat paint jobs that I don't want to repaint them. They look neat. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate you. So we're going to glue this thing. We need to paint some parts here. We're going to color match the armor plates that we added on here. This is a vehicle that is going to have a lot of Molotov cocktails. Plus, it's got a couple of machine guns that fire forward. And a ram, everybody's favorite. Everybody's favorite party item, a ram. But before we glue the ram on, we need to paint the bumper and things like that. So we left yesterday evening with these things primed. And yeah, let's get to it. We're going to do the 10 bits, as I like to call it, as the old version used to do, and we're going to paint these 2 armor plates here in 10 bits. And of course, we'll bring them up, and we're going to color match this kind of close so that it looks like the crew on here decided to color match it. So let's get the 10 bits out. Yeah, this will do. Even though there's a soup sandwich going on in here. But I just, getting back to what I was saying, I don't understand people that specifically go out of their way for whatever fun they think they're having to spread misinformation. I just don't understand it. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. And, obvious misinformation stuff. Not like it's like, well, let's have some fun with this, Like, no, it's like completely wrong. Like, why waste your time? Nobody's going to believe you, etc. So, you guys ask me something on here, I'm not going to tell you the wrong information. You ask me about an airbrush, I'll tell you what my experience is with it. Why would I want to steer you the wrong way? That would, then you don't believe anything I have to say. Well, some of you may not believe what I have to say anyways, but that's a personal problem. But okay, this is not the color it's going to stay, but it's almost like there's like this underlayer of rust that's already kind of appearing. And we're going to paint over that, but Mad Max, yeah, something like that. I guess I need to, good morning, man. I guess I need to see that movie. I tried watching it one time, and it was very dated looking, and I wasn't doing this yet. Everybody says Mad Max. I don't even know who the hell Mad Max is. Is that Mel Gibson's character or the bad guy in the film? I don't even know. Don't ruin it for me. It's like, yeah, who cares? The movie's from 1976. Should have seen it by now, asshole. Right? It's like 1976 or something like that. I remember saw like, I think it starts with like the cop vehicles or something, and they're just saying these ridiculously bright ass colors, and I just couldn't get into it. And I haven't seen the new Mad Max either. I watched Death Race though, one of them, not the old Death Race ones, but I'd watch that stuff if I could like do this and have it play. I mean, like my other room at the other house, I had one wall up here where there was a TV, and I never watched it. And I can't watch and do this. I'll be like, huh? And then, oh shit, this is like dry. And if the TV is on, I've got to watch it, or I basically don't have it on. Just a little cover like that, right? Now, I got a little bit of this primer, which is water-based. Geez, man. A little bit of this primer, which is water-based, and it looks like it got on this. Now, I can, when I do a wash, that'll disappear, but I want to test and see if this, I know this works. I'm going to take a little bit of hand sanitizer on here. And just removed it. Hand sanitizer takes acrylic paint off quite well. Listening to TV when I'm working on bikes. Yeah, it's just something because there's a picture, and I'm not looking at the picture that I feel like I'm missing out. Like if it's, you know, I don't like look for a picture of what I'm like, you know, listening to talk radio or something like that. But I've gone through different stages of doing stuff. You know, I'd like listen to talk radio. I'd like listen to music, and you just get bored. And you're like, oh man, it's just seeing it. Listening to like stuff on Audible. You know, and what I've found that keeps me on track the most is doing this, hanging out with you guys, or you guys hanging out with me, or however you want to, however you want to spin it. All right, let's do the. This is going to be the bumper. We're going to start in the darkest of the metallic colors I have, which is, I can make it darker. I can add some black to this. Iron Warriors, but don't need to. Let's make sure this is rinsed. I still have a few too many things out here on the desk. I'd like to, after we're done with this project, we're gonna clear all this stuff. Chaos is, I'm not a fan of chaos. Chaos is evil. All right, we're going to just kind of wet brush this. I want to leave some black in like the nooks and crannies. It might be useful later on. And same thing with this grill. I'm going to do the same treatment to the grill underneath here. And the grill in here. Had all this detail, just the paint department at hotwheels.com decided not to paint it. Even though a lot of this is going to end up getting covered. I need to do this in the tin bits too. Well, I still have it here. Boy, that tin bits really did a number on me, remembering that it is called that. That's what the Games Workshop one was called. And it may still be called, but I had one of those and I bought it. Ice maker over there. You keep it down. And I bought it, got to use it one time before it froze up on me. It dried out. And I didn't use Games Workshop paint for a long time. And then they reformulated it in a more civilized manner, and I'm back to it. I still have the original ones. Okay, we'll worry about the wheels a little bit later. Let's do this first. Any of this is showing. I'm not even going to rinse this paintbrush. If it's got a little bit of this color in it, that's fine. And is one of these up and one of them down? Yeah, I think this is the downside. Yeah, I wish I could watch movies, etc. while I do this. I just can't. Just like I can't read a book and there be any noise. It's just a bad habit. Maybe if I grew up with, like, you know, dogs or pets or something like that were noisy, I needed to get something done, I'd learn how to do that. But I'm used to working in silence. Okay, this is going to be the front ram for that. And got this grading that's here. Now, hopefully this guy doesn't need a tire change, because this tire really isn't compatible with these, the thin wall ones. But I don't have a whole lot of interest in changing the tires out on these vehicles, because then you have a whole pile of tires. You don't know what they go with. And let's see, let's do the frame of this. Let's make this like it's going to be corroded. The only reason I put this on the side was to kind of cover up this Hot Wheels. There's a little Hot Wheels logo, and not that I dislike how the Hot Wheels logo looks. I just don't think I'm trying to make a vehicle that looks like a real vehicle. And a real vehicle wouldn't have Hot Wheels written on it. You know, Hot Wheels doesn't exist in this world, wherever this ridiculous place is. And this will be the orange body color of the car as well. Now I'm going to go and add a dry brushing of this also over the tin. Rough iron is what these guys call this. And the same thing on the back. And I need to stop and take account how many vehicles I've done so far in the last couple months. Probably 50. If I had to guess, probably the nearest 10, I'm pretty sure I'm over 40. So something like 50. This has got a metal strap that goes over that. I don't want to paint that yet. I need to figure out what color the rim is going to be on the inside. That's the center hub. Don't need to do that right now. That's definitely accessible. So we've got all of the parts that are, I don't know what's going on down here with this. It painted that thing black. I don't know. We're going to have to, that's an exhaust or something? Yeah, it is an exhaust. Okay, well, we're going to end up doing a black wash in there somehow. Okay, right. Next step, let's leave the metal out here, and let's make us an orange. This is starting to run a lot of interference. Let's do a switch out. Let's get this one. All right, let's see what we got in the orange department. I have a few oranges. Looks like the Fast and Furious Supra. Is it orange? I don't remember. In the first one? I don't like the new Supra. The old one, the one from the 90s, that one looked cool. The bubbly looking one. I don't know if it was that fast. Stock. All right, what oranges do we have? We have several. We have orange red. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Because in the shop, when they repainted this, they didn't have the right orange either. Okay. A little bit lighter than that one. What about the Games Workshop orange? What's 0 to 60 on like a 1990s? See, the Supra was made in late 90s. See, this is closer. Now, it's not metallic. We're going to add metallic to it. This is closer. This is real close, actually. What is that? There's a website, in case you guys don't know. You probably do, if you're into cars. I don't know how accurate it is. We'll just assume it's accurate. We'll just assume this isn't one of these purveyors of misinformation. 0 to 60. I believe it's called 0 to 60 times. Now, I don't know about these quarter-mile things. I don't know what the hell that is. Let's go down and find out. Let's find Toyota. Rivian. It's one of them battery-powered things. Toyota. And it's alphabetical. Supra's going to be towards the bottom. There's a shitload of Toyota models. I'm going to say it's not faster than 4.7. I mean, 4.7 is pretty freaking fast. 4.7 to 60. I bet there's not one that's, not the new one, but the one from the 80s. The new one's probably 4.3. Okay, Supra. Why this thing stopped scrolling? Because there's so much advertising on this page. Christ. All right, a new style one. $1994 Supra, 6.5. That ain't that fast. Not for, a sports car. 5.2, the 94, 95, 5.4, 97, 5.0. I mean, that's the same speed as my car, except the Supra looks like a sports car. Okay, the new ones are like, that's pretty fast. New ones are under 4 seconds. That's a fast, that can't be stock. That's a fast car. Under 4 seconds that's a supercar. That's pretty damn fast. Well, I don't have a Supra yet. Why you gotta be like that, man? Why you gotta be nasty to each other? Go fondle your mom. Leave my viewers alone. Anyhow, so what I was talking about earlier today, I'm surfing on my phone on Facebook, right? And there's misinformation shit everywhere, but there's more misinformation in other places other than Facebook. But some people have their real account, like the real account name, or sure seems like a real account, and they make up all this shit, just stuff that's obviously wrong. Do I have a bed shaped like a race car? No, they don't make that in king size. I would have loved to have one as a kid, although I wasn't really into cars as a kid. Really wasn't into cars. I didn't hate them, but I like these because, you put guns on them. I'm all about guns. Hey, I'm a pacifist every day. I want to be I want to be violent in games. All right, so we have this color orange, which is close, and we're going to add some metal to it. Now, the metal, depending on which one you use, will alter the color up or down in lightness. So if I use this one, this is going to be darker. It's going to make it darker than this. So I'm going to take something like the mid-range one I have and add some metal flake to it. Don't need much. And we're definitely going to need some water just to get it to flow properly. Just to get it to flow properly. Hey, welcome back. Basilio, that's a Simpsons joke. You're supposed to say you sleep in a big bed with your wife. I don't know. I don't watch The Simpsons. I've watched episodes of The Simpsons. You need to watch your own programming. Not, you need to try to be your own country over there, not be a copycat of everything bad in the United States. I saw this one episode of The Simpsons a long time ago, probably 1995, 96 at least. And it was like something about St. Patrick's Day. And they get into a big fight and said, "This is what you think? You got to stop this stuff. Isn't this what you want people to think this of the Irish is all they do is fight and get drunk? Just shit like that is just, funny." Okay, now I'm realizing we could do a better orange than this. Well, that's why we have lots of different colors. Do you do much of movie props? Like maybe the Ghostbusters car or something? Well, not Ghostbusters. Um, I want to do one with all the Bond cars. I've got one so far. Because then you could do, the spy that raced me. But no, I haven't. I haven't. I have an 18 van that was for something else. But with the movie cars, I wouldn't want to add guns to like this thing, like visible guns, because it didn't have it in the movie. Um, 18 van wouldn't be very useful. Wouldn't be able to kill anybody, because they couldn't hit anybody. They weren't allowed to. Okay, this is a little bit louder in color. Yeah, I don't think the wife would like a race car shaped car bed. They don't make it in king size. They might actually make a king size bed. That looks like the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Yeah, something like that would be all right too, but then it would have no weapons, right? Um, yeah, I'm not opposed to including movie cars, but it won't be the exact same movie car. Oh, now we're closer. Okay, let's thin this down a little bit and let's go with this. Um, like for instance, this thing's gonna be called Roger Dodger. So, if I did if I did a DeLorean, it would be called something like I don't know, stainless flashback or something like that. It wouldn't be the actual car from the. I wouldn't call the 18 van, the 18 van. It would. I have a Batman mobile, right? It's not going to be Batman. It's just some asshole who thinks he's Batman. Batshit crazy. People like you made my childhood rock on. All right, man. Appreciate it. You got to do stuff. You don't have to do stuff. I choose to do stuff that keeps you young at heart. It's like I play games, right? But I don't just, you know. But you got to do stuff that just keeps you young. I went to this model show recently in Orlando, and one thing I noticed is there's some people that, I'm in my mid 50s. Mid 50s? Yeah, I qualify as mid 50s. There's some people there that feel like they're 400 years old. They just act like they're 400 years old. And like you can play games, but you got to take the game serious from the standpoint like you need to play it correctly, right? You make decisions and stuff like that. You can goof off and stuff like that, but you need to be serious at the end of the day. But the venue can be, something ridiculous to make fun of or whatever. I want to paint these. I want to paint them well, not just like, that standpoint. But have fun for God's sakes, you know? A lot of these vehicles, for instance, have all kinds of details a kid's not going to appreciate. Yeah, I went to that model show, man. There were some people that are just no fun to be around. And I'm not saying I'm the most fun person in the world, but I'd like to think that I'm having fun. And a lot of this stuff is stuff I didn't have when I was a kid. I mean, I had Hot Wheels, but I didn't have hundreds of them. Yeah, we need to bring this up a little bit in color. Like anything orange, it's going to take multiple passes. And then when we get it where we want it, we're going to end up adding drippings. I said, it's like, they had this thing in a shop. They had this orange, bright ass color vehicle in the shop. And they're like, well, we want to add some extra plates so we can survive a round of this death race stuff. And they decided, well, let's kind of paint it orange, and they didn't have the factory orange, right? Now I don't want to go all up into the cracks here, because that's going to end up having the weather drippings. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, this isn't, have I not done 40 vehicles or maybe 50 vehicles and been happy with damn near every one of them, I'd be looking at this going like, I'm not going to be happy with how this is turning out. But that's not the case, because now it's like, okay, we got to trust the process. And that's just experience. That's just knowing that, it's going to look like crap here for a little bit. What time is it? 6:30? It's going to look like crap till about, for the next hour. Maybe even less than that. And then it's going to be like, that's the same car? Yep. Actually, no, it's a truck. Durango, I think, is based on a truck. But I saw this, I'm like, that's unique graphics. I wouldn't paint that myself. Well, I'd come up with something better written on the side of it. But a lot of these vehicles end up having pretty cool graphics that are already on there. And it's just a shame to not use that. And I don't know if this is a collector's vehicle or not. All I know is I paid $1 for it. I think we're going to get our money's worth out of it. But anyways, getting back to what I was talking about this morning, I'm having breakfast, and there was this article about Hitler's bunker. And it showed some US soldiers inspecting like the bunker with a candle or something like that. And the comments in the comment section were just ridiculous. I just can't believe there's that many trolls. And I'm not going to go into what the comments there are, but it's obviously wrong information by a factor of a lot. It's just like, why do people go and think that they post all this incredibly wrong information? Like, it's not worth an effort. It'd be like if I was like, if I did like an article on like, how to use an airbrush, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to send everybody down the rabbit hole in the wrong way, and I post deliberate wrong information. Like, why would I do that? What benefit do I have for, anybody to be posting wrong shit? Now, I can see like, maybe it's somebody you really dislike and you don't want him to succeed and whatever because he's like, did something nasty to you. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to send this guy down and make his life miserable. But that's somebody who did something to you. not just some random person. You could be sending somebody down a rabbit hole that you actually like, or may try to save your life one day, It just doesn't make any sense it doesn't make any sense to me. But there's just so much wrong information out there. So you have to go around the internet. That's, and obviously wrong information. Stuff like, oh, we need another Adolf now. I'm like, I can't believe somebody actually thinks that. I mean, there can't be anybody who's like, man, the world would have been better if Hitler would have won. I mean, come on. Not even people in Germany would have, would agree with that. Guy's a dick. Same thing with Stalin. Oh, the world would be better if Stalin was around. Well, nobody said that. It was an article about him, but. Let's bring this up a little bit more. I just decided to do this in the color of the body here. I know this is extremely impractical. Why would you carry jerry cans on the side of the passenger thing here? Said because you're riding with, your mother-in-law and you don't like her or something. There we go. It's a little bit more vivid. So, I don't want to, I take pretty seriously that, when I answer you guys' questions, when I give you guys advice, I don't get in arguments with people on the internet. You have to sit there and constantly defend your position. That's not my hobby. Getting excited about toys of one form or another is. Okay, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. I said, when you have trouble with this stuff covering, just kind of put a lot of paint on there, because you got to make sure it's watered down, right? So it doesn't get all goopy. And then just kind of stipple it. And sometimes when it's too watery, you'll brush over somewhere. In the process of putting the paint on, you end up pulling it off at the same time, kind of in the same motion. Well, if you're, blotching it, you're not doing that, but it's got to have the right consistency. Well, this weekend has seemed like the longest weekend in forever, and that's a good thing. We've gotten a lot of stuff done. Back from the mobile comms unit. Which orange is that again? Save some girls for us. Yeah, I'm not in the market for that anymore. Orange, this one is, well, I was using fiery orange, but I ended up using light orange from Vallejo. Save some girls for us. Yeah. There's some weird girls out there. No thanks. My daughter comes back from college. She's got all kinds of interesting stories, and I'm not worried. I don't worry about her anymore. Oh, here we go. Time to make something priceless. I don't know what it is about this room. There's dust. Maybe all these damn old shit that I brought in here. It's causing me to sneeze. But she's got all kinds of interesting stories of how people act in college, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'd be able to handle that. I don't be able to handle these silly ass people. Okay, so we have that. Now we paint the jerry cans. Why didn't you paint the jerry cans first? Because I like painting things I know what color I want it. So if I don't know what color I'm going to paint the jerry can, or I'm unsure, I like painting things that I know the color of, and then be able to make the decision based on that. That's pretty close. That's pretty damn close, or it will be once we add the drippings to it. And actually, I wouldn't want it to be exactly the same color. Like I said, this came into some chop shop, and they're going to add this stuff to it. And they don't have this factory. Well, I don't think this is a factory color, but wherever they decided to put this orange color on, All right, so we need to do headlamps, and let's go ahead and do the headlamps. Let's do the bumpers. Let's not go all the way to the brightest color, which is mithril silver. Let's go here next. Like to make dioramas. Some people like to make dioramas, and people that make dioramas sometimes can't understand wargaming. Some guys that play wargaming can't understand building models. I like to build models and learn about real things and roll dice and put things up in a case, but I don't want to like never take them out, And different people think other things are interesting, like the wife really likes the car stuff. The tanks, I'm not saying she doesn't like the tanks, but to her, all the tanks are the same. And considering how many Shermans and T-34s I have, yeah, many of them are the same, but many of them are not. But to somebody who's not, knowledgeable in that sort of thing, I didn't marry somebody who was like into tanks and shit like that. That'd be weird. Be like a World War II person, and then marry somebody who's also into World War II things, and they think that they know more than you do, and get into arguments about stuff. That's the wrong kind of martyr. They didn't have, there's probably somebody out there blessed with that. I mean, I'm sorry, cursed with that problem, but it isn't me. Oh, I guess I'm sleeping in the doghouse tonight. Why? What happened? Well, we're having an argument about which gun mantlet was on the Sturmgeschütz 3G. How's it going, Hoffman? It'd be like me arguing about my wife cooking. No, or her arguing with like directions. Oh no, I've said that before. It's like if you had a significant other, what's the worst thing? What's the worst quality they would have? Like what's the worst thing you couldn't deal with? Like I'd have a hard time living with somebody who was like cold all the time and wanted to run the heater. Like I'd fucking leave. There's no way I could deal with somebody who would want to run the heater all the time. So my wife and I are temperature compatible. Thank goodness. I wouldn't be able to, unlike everybody at work, or it seems like it. Arguing with directions. That's like the thing I'm the best at. I mean, without Google and all that stuff. I mean, it's in my DNA. I mean, I suck at painting compared to directions. And I pride myself on it too. Can't you tell? But like if you had somebody, it's like, no, I think you need to make a left here. No, she lets me do, she's stays out of that department. Be like me saying, I think I don't think you're cooking that right. Fuck out of here, I think you got the wrong road wheels on that Sherman tank. Get the fuck out of here. I'll take arguments that never happen for 1,000, please. But anyways, my daughter was talking about somebody at college, and she says, guys like girls that are dumb and like a hot mess, and I'm like, I never did. I don't like stupid girls. Smart girls are hot. Now, they can't be like super nerd burglary. You know what I mean? Like I'll go to some place like if I'm passing through, I really don't like gamers. Gamers are fucking weird, right? It's okay to be nerdy about stuff, but like do the best you can with what you have, right? And I go into some like a game store to like pick up paint or something like that. And then there's some girls. There's some girls in there that are like, no, I'd never be that desperate. Hello, L. Oh boy, you got a long one. All right, I'll take the challenge here. El Mustro de la Montaña. I don't know what the hell a Mustro is. Welcome. Them blue-haired chicks, Has anybody ever said, like, man, she's not very attractive, but she does have blue hair, and that's hot? Like, no. Now, if you're in a play or something like that, okay. There's some role-playing game channel or something did some kind of miniatures reviews. I stumbled upon it a couple of years. There was some girl and she had a ton of views because, she's fairly attractive, but she got like blue hair or some shit like that. I'm like, I'm dealing with that stuff. I'm too old for that. I'm always too old for that stuff. I'm old school, man. If you think gamers can be a bit off, just consider furry. No, that doesn't exist in my world. That's just fucked up. They have to provide HIV testing to prevent outbreaks. like you say, shit didn't happen when bullying was allowed. Well, you know, I mean, look, we've all been bullied, right? To some degree or another. Um, but there just needs to be repercussions. Like, you know, you just, you know, like when you have a kid, for those of us that have kids, you can't do whatever you want. And there's repercussions to everything. Like, I want to be a narwhal. You can't be a fucking narwhal, right? You'll like call you're, you know, shit like that. I want to be a unicorn. You can't. Why? It's a make believe creature for first, you know? Like, come on, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing role playing games. I haven't played one since I was 14 years old. Nothing wrong with playing role playing games. LARPing, come on, man. Go star in a play or something. Like, it's just weird. It's just weird. And we all have to understand what our strengths and weaknesses are, right? Like, you can't be 450 pounds and want to dress up like Han Solo. It doesn't fucking work, man. You know, you can't be know your limitations. Corrective bullying. Yeah. Well, sometimes, yeah, you know what I mean. I've said it before, you know. It's like when I was in school, like you couldn't like, and I'm all for people being individualistic, but there's repercussions to everything, you know. I went to middle school in the early 80s, and you couldn't, let's say you wanted to wear two socks that were a different color, right? Like kids do all the time now. I don't know how they fucking sleep at night, but anyhow, I'm a little too 80, what is it? What's the thing? What's the anal retentive thing? Because I'm not ADD or ADHD. I'm the other one. Anyhow, I wouldn't be able to do it. You couldn't do that in the 80s. You'd have an atomic wedgie. Whether it was right or wrong, you're getting one. All right. Even though these are AKs or RPKs, or I guess they'd have to be RPKs, even though they look like AKs. Let's get some wood up there. They've got the wooden handle part on them. Some folks that are visiting us right now from Mexico, the ones that we traveled down there to see them, they're friends of my parents, but we do stuff with them as well. They're parental age for us, and I was showing them this stuff, and the wife was like, she's not that much older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. 10, yeah, it's about right, about 10 years older than me. And she's like, you got any of those? What does she call it? Cuerno de chivo. Goat's horn. Goat's horn. Goat's horn. I'm like, goat's horn? What the hell's a goat's horn gun? And I started thinking about it. I said, I bet you mean an AK, because you know the banana clip is curved. It's like that's what it was. It was a Cuerno de chivo is what you called it. You know, because the narcos use all that stuff. You know. Hey, bro. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing too as well. Rodzilla. Uh-oh. You're going to get Hoffman all excited with the Zilla thing. They make they actually make a Skyline. There's one version of the Nissan Skyline that was referred to as a Godzilla. I don't know which one it was. R34, R32, R33, one of them. And they actually make one with like Godzilla graphics on the side of it. It's like a collector's item or something like that, you know. So of course you're going $15 for one of them, but one of the Skylines. I don't remember which one. I haven't played Forza in a while. I had one of them. Whichever Forza I have, you could like design car paint schemes. I really don't remember which one it is. For the 360. I think it was for the 360. So I went through and I did a Domo themed Arthur Skyline. Where is that little guy? You know who that is. Where is he? Here he is. Domo themed. We saw this thing at Target one time. My daughter really liked it when she was little. When she was like, 7, 8 or something like that. Domo. He's like a little mascot, I think, of like a Japanese public TV station or something like that. Cute little guy. A nip muppet. And I designed a paint scheme of one of the Skylines. I've always liked the Skylines. I think it look pretty cool. I mean, they're so expensive. I don't think I can afford to look at one. It's like, man, let me look at that car. That'll be $20. Son of a bitch. Didn't they make a Didn't they make a movie after the Godzilla? I mean, I saw the new Godzilla. Didn't they make a one after the Godzilla versus Kong? I hated Godzilla versus Kong. Like, who gives a fuck about a big monkey? A big ape? Who gives a... I don't care. King Kong's stupid. Big lizard dinosaur-like that attacks buildings and... Yeah, I'll watch that. I don't care about a big-ass monkey. I'm certainly not rooting for him. Domo rocks. I like the commercials where he dances with the ladies. He never talks. What's up, man? Yeah, he does like a sound of like constipation of having too much sushi. Well, I guess it's the rice. I don't think that sushi constipates you, but it'd be the rice. Something like that. Yeah, he's a bit of a. I mean, he looks like he'd be like a monster that would eat people, but he's a bit of a pacifist. You know, American Godzilla movies do not exist to me. Well, isn't it funny that it's called Godzilla, but correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Japanese a problem saying the L? But they call it what? Gorija, right? It's spelled Gorija. I think. I don't know. You're the Godzilla expert. What's Godzilla's origin? Is it like nuclear fallout and this like it woke up this creature that was already there, or it's a dinosaur that morphed into something and came alive, or what's the backstory of it? I guess I could look it up, but I'm trying to paint here. These ridiculous origin stories, and some of them are better origin stories than others. Some things are like I think, for instance, I think Jurassic Park is a pretty good origin story. Okay, like everything is the same as it always happened, except we found a way to do this. And if you accept this is plausible, then the whole thing is potentially plausible. Like I think that works. You know, what doesn't work is Chris Pratt riding a motorbike with a herd of raptors that are like his pets and they're like little dogs. Like that, I hated that part. That was stupid. But I'd like to see more of that mosasaur. That thing was pretty badass, even though it was shown way out of scale. It was shown like, bigger than a blue whale. Can't comment on the last movie, haven't seen it. Both depending on the movie? Okay. What did you think of, I know I've asked you, I think I asked this, and you either had already left or you just refused to answer because it was a ridiculous question, or maybe neither. But what did you think of Pacific Rim? Well, from what I remember, the creatures that were in that were pretty cool looking. And I like kaiju stuff. I really do. Like one of my favorite movie creatures is, especially the new one, the redo of the Clash of Titans, is the big Kraken. That fucker's huge. I mean, that's like, you could see him from, outer space. And he's bigger than the town I live in. I mean, if he's attacking our town and he craps his pants, even though he's not wearing pants, we're all wearing it, Like, he's a big dude. Not a fan of Pacific Rim. Only seen the first one. Cool designs. I hated the predictable, trope-heavy story. They also call Rodan, the big pterosaur-type kaiju, Radon. When it was translated to English, someone made a typo. Rodan sounds way better and has less on the nose. Huh. Well, I remember liking those things when I was a kid because it's a dinosaur, right? And I like anything. Well, not anything. My dinosaurs don't have fucking feathers, okay? I don't know about this whole gender bending dinosaur bullshit, but I don't want a T-Rex with a feather boa and he's kind of a bird and fuck that. I'm old school. I'm past that. I'm not accepting of that. That's not the kind of science I like. They make a T-Rex with like feathers. I'm like I was never a T-Rex fan. I always like Allosaurus. There was this picture in this book. I brought this up many years ago. That I had this book growing up on dinosaurs, and I actually found it on the internet, which one it was. And it had this one painting that somebody had done of an Allosaurus eating something that was damn near carcass gone. And the Allosaurus was red and it had blue stripes. Sounds really loud. Well, it was, but it was done in a subtle way. And I always thought he looked really freaking badass. And ever since there, I've liked Allosaurus. But ever since then, I was a kid. I mean, there's all kinds of dinosaurs that exist that they've found or I'll call them misnamed because there's so many dinosaurs that have stupid fucking names. Utah Raptor, Dakota Raptor. I mean, come on, man. Dumb names. Like the design of King Caesar, the Temple Guardian Dog Kaiju. A nice change from dinosaurs. You're a Triceratops kind of guy. There's nothing wrong with that, man. He's a classic. My daughter loves Stegosaurus. I'm an Ankylosaurus person. If we're talking about yeah, let's get a little Steggy out here. I've only painted one. Steggy. Yeah, this is just a kid's toy. And of course, it came in this color. That's another thing. Go to toy stores and loot all the dinosaurs and see what they have. But Because they don't tell you what scale they are. So you kind of have to use like, okay, this one's smaller, so maybe this could be an adolescent something or another, you know? That a Steve or a Sally? I don't know. Dinosaurs may be one of those few things where the female's bigger. I don't know. You know, like spiders, like the female spider's bigger. Eagles are the same way too. I think the female eagle is bigger. I don't know. Pacific Rim was a Monster Coppola movie, inspired by the game. I didn't know it was a game. King Caesar is good. Well, I gotta look that up. What is that? Is that like a Cerberus? You said some kind of a dog. Caesar. Man, it's hard to spell it that way. What the fuck? This is what in the never-ending story is this son of a bitch? Nah, it's a little too furry for me, man. Female animals way more badass than males, especially when they have young. Yeah, isn't yeah, some of those like reptiles and stuff like that, the female's bigger. It's the exception to the rule. You know, the rule's generally that the male is bigger, and the male is also more colorful, generally. You know, you're talking about birds and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like that never-ending story fucker. I'll pass on that. I thought he was going to show me something like a Cerberus or something like that. Cerberus is badass. Don't they have some Cerberus type thing in Harry Potter? I'm like, no, nothing in Harry Potter is badass. I can't watch it. Nonsensical stuff. All right, let's look at the back of the Durango. Durango back. Should be able to find it. We searched for it yesterday. Durango. And I think when I'm done with this, we're gonna go make a particular vehicle that is gonna be on the Cruel Britannia team. I think I have an idea for it. And you Islanders may or may not like it. Durango. Let's go to 2001. Durango front. And unfortunately, that vehicle is going to be a little boring looking compared. These just have loud ass graphics, okay? And I'm going to do a panel van that does not have loud ass graphics. Okay, so the front has the orange on the bottom, which is going to suck because it's not going to stand out a whole lot. And then the light on, okay. And then Durango back. Okay, it's all red, including the sides at the bottom, but only on the back. Are little. Okay, cool. Is the backup lights? Okay, good. That's what we'll do. I'll defend the film, but the goofiest kaiju by far is the son of Godzilla. You mean Godzuki? I like my dinosaurs hard and scaly. You got it, man. Yeah, I wouldn't drive anything like this, but this is pretty cool. No, I'm going to make the what we're going to call the Shropshire slasher. And yes, for those of you of my generation, there will be a French car called Blackjack Shellac. Yes, there will be. And it'll be black. I'm not going to explain either of those things to you. If you're my age, you'll understand. I mean, even people from Europe should know that. Come on, man. You should know that. Blackjack Shellac. Customizing a model train. Absolutely. I just don't know where it would fit in anything. I did see somebody recently that had took a train and used it for wargaming and did a damn good job of it. I don't know what scale they would have found it. I don't think it was an HO scale. It was for a 20 millimeter, and I don't think they used an HO scale train. Because HO is just a tiny little bit too small. I mean, it can work in a pinch, but I don't know what the hell they did, but it looked good. A damn good job. Made like a Russian armored train. I came across that. I want to say they used it for like a rapid fire game or something like that, which is a bit of a letdown. Although I don't mind 1 to 5 skill games, I don't really like that rule set. Their scenario books look great. I just don't, having played it, there's a lot missing there. A rule set that comes out 20 or 30 years after Command Decision should be significantly better than Command Decision, and it's not. I wouldn't even say it's better in my opinion, but that's why they make a lot of different rule sets. So if you don't like one, you just go to a different one. But the guys, Mitch and Joel, used to play Rapid Fire, and they gave up on it. Now all they do is play versions of Command and Colors, but I really hate shuffling cards. I don't know that there's anything I like game related that I dislike more than shuffling cards. And I don't think you get good randomization. Especially the way I shuffle. I think pulling chips out of the bag is probably top dog. But I like rolling dice. But yeah, no, a train, but where would you get them? They're not, I like getting stuff that's like damn near free and then making it. No risk thing. Yeah, the black lining in this thing is going to make a tremendous difference. All right. Only thing with this is I got to be careful I don't wipe off anything with handling it. This is one of my favorite things to do right here. So disappointed that they don't make that white pimp mobile from Live and Let Die. That Corvinado, man. That had freaking Gaslands written all over it. And I'm not going to chop shop convert one. Okay, and we have some white there, so we can do these backup lights. Work that out yet? They have some crazy dice nowadays. You need to work out a card shuffling mechanic. Yeah, I just don't think you get a good randomization. I mean, I understand why some people are like, worried. There was this one guy that when I played DBA, he must have been, touched by the dice gods somewhere he didn't want. And he came up with a mechanic where you would have you put the results like on little chits of 1 through 6. And you threw it in a bag and you'd pull out numbers one at a time. So every number would come out. I don't want to play that game. I want to play a game that there's a chance that I roll 3 dice and all 3 of them are 6s in a row. And I want the chance that it could be 3 1s. That kind of excitement is exciting. Knowing that it's going to be average all the time, no matter what. That's like, what's the point playing? I've been screwed by the dice before, and I've had miracles happen because of the dice. But that's like, I'm never afraid of the dice. Anytime there's a chance to roll the dice is an opportunity for greatness. Something great can happen to you, but you won't if you don't roll dice. But we're using the chip pulling thing for who gets to go next in Gaslands. That's working really well. Okay, and let's take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Put a little gleam up here. On the rear taillights. And of course, we gotta do washes and stuff in there, tile light in. Okay, and the bottom here is orange, and the top is white. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend that it's got a little light bulb in there, and we're gonna paint the little semicircle in there. That's where good game masters come in. If they can't make up rules on the fly, it must be a real task to make sure everything is fair and randomized for everybody. Well, you just need to be consistent. If your goal being a game master is to save everybody or to kill everybody, I don't think your heart is in the right place. I get a thrill out of the game being, run, being fair and really unbalancing things happen on their own. It's really pretty cool. But this Gaslands game is the game that I've played that has been the most... I feel like we're all driving the cars at all times. Like you'll see somebody's turn, and he's like, I don't know what I'll play. I said, I know, it looks like I'd play like a gentle turn. No, I don't know. What about a full one? So we're all kind of playing by committee. And that turns some people off, but Mitch and I seem to like it. I certainly like it. I want an interesting narrative to happen. That's my motivation. I want a really interesting narrative to happen in the game. Okay, I think we need we need to remove some of this paint. I think the primer got in a place I didn't want it to be. I did not have my contacts out, so I didn't have what I call supervision. I'm going to remove this little bit down here. It'll look better. Use something that's a little bit more hard and scaly. Comes right off. Not that it wouldn't be able to just tell by weathering. You know, by the time I weather that, you won't be able to tell, but that's good enough. No feathers. You know, the only dinosaur that can have feathers is what's that thing called? The Archaeopteryx or whatever? That tiny little bird flu looking thing. Like, nobody wants to play that shit. We want to play big dinosaurs. And I had that Cretaceous rules. You know, maybe one day. All those palm trees I have would certainly work for that. All right, let's do the front headlamps. It should take about the same amount of time. And then we can start doing the black lining and drippings and such. So let's do the big headlamps. The big clear headlamp. Big clear looking headlamps. We're going to paint them like we did the Ford Escort. Focus, sorry, same thing. That's all a Ford Escort is. A Ford Focus is a new Ford Escort. It's going to do like a mid-gray, and we're going to paint everything here. It is inside that. Okay, and while that's drying, we'll do the same thing with the orange. No, we want to use this. We want to use an orange that stands out a little bit. Might even have to have a little bit of yellow to it. Let's see, do I have something that's kind of in between those two? Yeah, this one. Sierra Cogsworth. That the one with all the headlamps on it? That's because it don't look like a Ford. It's like one of those rally things. It's a pretty good looking car. My biggest problem with Ford is the logo. It's just too old looking. It looks too, retro. That, and I don't like anything even remotely cursive. Yeah, it's a little brighter color there. Yeah, those Cogsworth things, if it's the one I'm thinking of, they never made it here to the States. Like, oh, that looks pretty cool. You guys can have that. What? What do you mean? Where the hell did the tweezer go? Ding! There we go. Now we can get a good seal. That's right. Snap that thing in place. Yeah, I think that's the one. I don't have one. I've seen one. I should pick one up next time I see one. I think the one I've seen is white with like blue striping or something like that, or like a light blue with red striping or something like that. Make a couple different versions of them. If it's the one I'm thinking of, like a rally car looking thing. I don't know. I think I like some of the Broncos look pretty cool. Back in the day, I thought the probes looked pretty good. Regardless of whether you may or may not like that name. Like, hey, I just bought a new probe. Okay, tell your doctor about it. And then we'll take the same gray, add some white to it. And add a little semicircle. That was what I had to figure out a way to do something I was happy with, because a lot of these vehicles have this clear cover over the headlamp, and the headlamp is inside, recessed from that cover. I need to find that little Japanese happy cat. I think it's Japanese. That little Japanese happy cat. It's got to be Japanese. I thought the happy cat was Chinese, but there wouldn't be a cat in Japan, in China, that would be happy. It'd be eaten. It's like this big green, almost like a Truckosaurus looking truck. It's really pretty cool. And it's out for this year. For this year's Hot Wheels, it's out. But I haven't seen one. No happy dogs or cats. Well, the happy dogs would be no happy dogs in Korea. And that works. It's a little cartoon-like. It'll look better when we do the brown the washing on it. Can we zoom in? Are we able to zoom in? We're not able to zoom in. All right. It's funny because on here, because of this light, the color of the windshield or the armor on the windshield and the color of the body look very different for you guys. It doesn't for me. Let's see if I kill this, if it makes a difference. It's a little bit better. You don't think there's happy people in Korea, in either Koreas? I don't know. I had a friend of mine who was my painting buddy. That he was the guy who would come over every Wednesday and paint. And then he was in the army at the time, and he got deployed to Korea twice, to South Korea, and you know, the whole dog thing. It's like, you know, that supposedly those dogs that get eaten are a special breed that they grow specifically for that, and they're really, really expensive. So the example he used, it would be like, you know, accidentally eating dog would be like accidentally going to McDonald's and having filet mignon. Like you wouldn't like accidentally run into that, according to him. All right, let's do dark tone. Now this brush is starting to misbehave. It's already starting to kind of, which is why I don't like using detail brushes for something that isn't detail related, because every brush will wear out, and you don't want to waste its life on something that's not necessary for it to do. Like you only call that in when you need to. You only call in that favor when you absolutely need to. Ah, shit. That's where the hand sanitizer is. All right, no big deal. We'll move over this way. I don't know if it affected it or anything, but. Yeah, that's something I've found that works for me. I mean, there's different ways of doing it. That I've been pretty happy with those results. This is the most important thing to do, right? To makes the biggest difference right here is what I'm doing right now. So that all these details can be seen 2 and 3 feet away from this. Well, we'll call this a model loosely. We're dialing up the contrast button, basically. Ben, you're always here on Sundays. There must be nothing to do in your village on Sundays. Only go to church and be buried. That's how things used to be, man. I remember, like, when I was a kid, I'm like, I don't ever want to have Sunday off. Well, why not? Because there ain't nothing to do on Sunday. Everything's always closed. Things are a lot better now, but now my weathering is pretty much dry brushing, so it shouldn't go in any of these dark gaps. If it does, I can just highlight them again. So you want that stuff to pop. Would you ever try spray paint? No. I used to use spray paint. It just got really crappy in quality. I used to use Model Master for everything. And then Rust-Oleum bought Model Master a few years ago. Rust-Oleum bought testers, and they discontinued all the Model Master colors. So they still make those tiny little paint jars that are worthless, but they don't make the good spray paint Model Master paint, which is what I used to use for priming and especially sealing. And I was happy with it, even though it got more and more and more expensive, and it forced me to get an airbrush. So I use airbrush for priming and sealing, but I don't use it for weathering or anything like that. I don't have the airbrush skills yet that I do with painting. The paintbrush is so much easier to control, for me anyways. I'm a lot more comfortable doing it here. It's not messy. It's not loud. You know, all the above. But that's why I got an airbrush, because they discontinued all that stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'll find other spray paints to use, right? There's a lot cheaper spray paints out there, alternative. But the problem is that the quality of them is garbage. The propellant that's in them, we'll call it propellant, that gets the paint to come out, is extremely toxic smelling. It just drove me away from doing that. That's why I even airbrush at all. Yeah, but I do use one, and I'm not terrible with it. I don't have a ton of confidence in my abilities. Okay, I don't do bad, but I'm not an airbrush expert. But I do use it a lot. And I've gotten better with it. But it is a long climb. Yeah, there's a little panel line here in the middle of this graphic. Man, it's hard to see on this side. It's a little tiny little shadow. I actually like doing this step a lot. I feel like it makes this toy come alive. Yeah, it's starting to pop. think the angle, distance, and pressure is important, but also a little bit of thinner in the paint to get a smoother coat. So the biggest difference is there's this one Facebook group that's called something along the lines of Airbrushing for Beginners, Advice from Experts. And there's some guys that are sitting on their high horse and poo-poo everything that you ask. But there's some decent people on there. And there's this one guy on there that came up with this formula that is a universal thinner for all acrylics. And that was a game changer for me, because the most frustrating thing about airbrushing is tip dry. And it basically eliminates tip dry, what he does. And it's this mixture that's like 70% flow improver, 30% thinner, 10% retarder or something like that. I know that adds up to 110%. I think that's the right proportions. 70 airflow improver, 30% thinner, and then 10% retarder using Vallejo products. And some people, like I said, there's people that argue about shit. Like, oh, well, flow improver is the same as thinner. You're just buying another, whatever. I just follow the fucking directions. The guy said, I figured, hey, I'll try it, right? It's been a game changer. Because now I can basically finish a project and not have to stop in the middle of it and unjam my airbrush. You know, and like I can learn. I don't spend the whole time cleaning the fucking airbrush, right? So it's not frustrating. Now, the one thing about airbrushing is you think it's going to be quick, and sometimes, you know, like I've said before, is the one thing about airbrushing that I've learned you have to remember is don't make any fucking plans. Don't go, hey, I'm going to be out there like an hour. You don't know how long it's going to take, right? You're going to have a jam. You could have a jam or something like that. But Mr. Khurram Abbas's mixture has been revolutionary for me, and basically put me in a good mood airbrushing. It's like, oh crap, I got to airbrush something, I got to deal with it and take it apart, and you know, and you know, everybody's opinion varies. You know, somebody they'll ask all the time, hey, what's a good airbrush? Is this $30 airbrush, you know, master's airbrush from Harbor Freight? Is it worth it? Oh, it's a piece of crap. And oh no, it's great. You shouldn't be paying more for it. I can tell you this. You should buy an airbrush is exactly like a pistol. If you buy one that is a pain in the ass to clean and take apart, you're never going to clean it and take it apart. So, you know, yeah, you can save money on the airbrush, but then you're going to pay for it in frustration. I don't want to be frustrated every time I do this hobby. This is basically a frustration-free hobby as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, if every time you take it apart, it takes you 3 times longer, then, you know, that costs you time, you know. So you're not talking about the difference between $30 and $3,000. You're talking about the difference between $30 and like $120. That's, at the end of the day, that's not, you know, if it keeps you from being frustrated, it's worth it. So I had bought one of those Masters airbrushes and had problems at every turn. And I'm like, I'm not going to airbrush anymore. And I'm like, well, I'm going to give it one more shot, right? As I'd gotten one to do like the DBA mats, and wasn't happy with the results of it jamming and everything. Like I couldn't do it long enough without a jam to be able to learn from it and not be frustrated. So I just went back to using the rattle cans. And when the rattle cans situation got to the point where the quality of the rattle cans was just really poor, and it was stinky and it was wasteful. In other words, you got a rattle can that was this big and you could only get like a third of it before you started getting the jam through the nozzle. I'm like, I got to find something else to do. But I didn't want to go back to the cheapo airbrush. I'm like, let's get a proper airbrush. And if that doesn't work, then we'll hang up the towel. But let's at least give it a good fair shot. And I went to a Hobby Lobby and they happened to have the Iwatas there. They were like $150. And the return policy is I could try it. I mean, obviously you can't trash it, but you can try it. And if it doesn't work for you, return it. I'm like, all right, well, let's take a chance on it. And it worked, you know. The worst thing about an airbrush is what I've encountered is the pull on a double action one, the margin of error is so small. There's a very, I mean, it's like a half of a millimeter between no paint comes out to too much paint comes out. And, you know, you have this much throw in it. You have like a full inch at least of pullback. And it's like you only end up using the first, 16th of an inch, 1/8 of an inch ever. So I wish you could expand that. Maybe there's a way to do it, but I've gotten a lot better. I'm fairly confident that I'm not going to, have a mess on my hands. The cleaning process has gotten a lot better, but it is an uphill climb, especially for someone who is, I'm pretty detail oriented. I'm pretty patient as long as I'm making forward progress. It's hard to be patient if you're like every time you do something, you have to undo what you just did. It's like eventually you're like, you know what? I can waste my time on something else. But like this, like you can see that you're making progress. It doesn't matter if this takes an hour or 7 hours. Obviously, don't want to do this for 7 hours, but yeah. Kind of like cheap crayons that don't stick to paper or a cheap pen. They work, but you can really feel quality. Yeah, at some point, do you think you're worth it? I think I am, because I don't want to be frustrated. So I have an Iwata HPCS, and then I'm like, man, I need to buy a smaller nozzle. I need to get one of these Takumis or something to do like really thin squiggles. So go watch a video of somebody who knows how to fucking airbrush with your airbrush of choice, and you'll see that those guys can do some real magic. Those guys, it'd be like the stuff I can do. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will. There's no reason to buy $30 paintbrushes, right? These things work just fine. They're from Hobby Lobby. They're $6 or $7 for 10 of them. They're, what is it? Some Royal and Langnickel. They're plenty fine. Could you buy the ones and they're better? Yeah. Is it worth it? Nah, probably not. So, because no matter which ones you have, they are going to crap out on you. So we try to take care of these, and if they stop working as well one day, well, we didn't spend a fortune on them. So I can definitely appreciate being frugal. There's just, I want to choose my frugalness on what I'm going to be frugal with. But the airbrushing is it's just a totally different animal. And there's too many people out there that will push their own products for whatever reason. Oh, everything sucks except what I tell you. No, there's a lot of stuff out there that works. I just happen to pick the Iwata because it was out there. They had local parts available, so if I needed to buy another whatever, I could just go to the store and get another nozzle or another needle for it in case I messed one up. And I just took a chance on it, and it worked out all right. People say, oh, this Hardbeck and Steinbrink or whatever the hell it's called is the best one. I said, well, nobody carries it here in town, so that's why I don't have one. That's why I didn't even consider that one. Hardcastle and McCormick, whatever the hell it's called. Hardcastle and McCormick. I'll name shows I've never watched before. Hardbeck and Steinmaster, whatever the hell it's called. Steinbeck. Hard, scaly, and frugal. Everybody's frugal about something. You can't spend money on everything. You got to be like smart with your money, right? Especially these days where everything's so fucking expensive. Things that weren't that expensive a couple years ago are now like, like these that's why I do these cars. These only cars are affordable now. All right, let's look at the front of this guy. It's starting to look pretty good. And we still haven't even done the drippings yet. This doesn't count as drippings. Talking about corrosion and things like that. I know we haven't painted the spare tire either. We're going to wait until we do the weathering on it, which is what we do next. Now, I don't think I'm going to paint the wheels. I'm going to just let them be whatever color they end up being. Because I want to weather that wheel and then come back and then we'll paint the strap over it. But it looks a lot better. Let's put the glasses on and step away from it. It looks a lot better than it did when I started. So, all right, let's get the three sisters here. Chocolate brown, US field drab, Iraqi sand. I guess we didn't add this to it. I guess we probably need to do this as well. We'll attach this to the front. These little bolts and things that just need to add a little bit more contrast. Is there anything on the end? No. Okay. And then this, unfortunately, is going to cover the front of this. So some of this stuff will not be visible. Damn, but it is what it is. We'll still be able to see little turn signals in the headlamps. Fanimo Kumbu. Oh, I can't see well. Fanimo Kumbusayo. Fanimo Kumbusayo. Arigato. All right. That's weathering. And then we do the drippings. All of it serves a purpose, and we keep advancing towards the final look every time we add a step to this. So this is the wettest of the muds. I don't use mud products. I always come up with new products for you to buy. Hey, buy this, now there's a mud effect. Like, yeah, all you're doing is just supplying these model companies, right? And it may look awesome, but I'm ready to do mud, and I don't have that product here. So we won't be using it. Oh, and I still haven't done the jerry cans. No worries. Not going to go crazy on it. We still want this thing to look orange. All right, now you're going to rinse this thing out. Letting that orange really pop. I'm painting some resin bikes for your new Beverly team. I don't even know what the Beverly team is. I mean, I know what it is. I just don't know what their skill is. The only thing I don't like, just generally don't like about the game, and I don't mean this to poo-poo you because it wasn't your idea. Okay, I don't like the team choices for the author made, but that's irrelevant. You know, that's irrelevant. You know, I'm like, man, I gotta have like Mexican lowriders, and I gotta have rednecks, and I gotta have like the urban crew and a German team and and I mean by team is like themes. They most of the time they've just fought each other anyways. But cops that aren't really cops. I don't want to get into like demons and ghosts and some of the stuff is just like was Mishkin supposed to be like Russians or something like that? I'll have a Russian team. It's going to be gremlins from the Kremlin. But I don't. I'm not creating any teams that like in the rules. I think like if you do like Beverly, there's stuff that they get for free. I don't do that because I think I feel like the points value in the games is pretty well balanced, and I don't want to test that out a bunch of times and then realize that I made it unbalancing. So I'm just kind of sticking to, I do perks for the vehicles, but not for the teams. The teams are just kind of like they look alike, and that's why they run together. They don't necessarily get any benefits per se. But the author even says in the rules in the back, it's like, hey, look, you can do whatever environment you want. No. The first one's like Rutherford. I'm like, you got some like redneck and a cow hat. I'm like, that's just like the wrong logo for it, But anyhow, you do whatever you want. The game is great. The game is. There's a couple modifications that we've done, but very little. We added a D12 when you go and you lose control. We roll a D12 to clock facing which way you're facing, because otherwise, every time you flip, the guy behind you would always face you away from the direction to travel. It was like annoying, And what's the other thing that we changed? Who goes next? It's just a random pull. Who goes next? Instead of we tried playing a couple games with the pole position thing, and we got so convoluted as to who went next. And we like games where it's unpredictable who's going to get the next turn, and we like that. Other than that, everything else runs the same way. So it's a fun game. The rules are kind of light. If something doesn't seem right, it's not complicated enough that you can't make your own version of it. And yeah, I don't remember what Beverly is with, whether they're the clockwork guys or whatever that get extra stuff. I agree. That's what makes Gaslands great. It's fun as its core. You can make it yours. Exactly. Haven't made a rig yet. I'm going to have a problem with a rig because I want a Mexican one. Well, in the news here in the United States, the Indian truck drivers are certainly making a name for themselves, even though I've worked with truck drivers for over 30 years, and I don't think I've ever encountered one from India. But anyhow, so, we might have a Indian truck driver team, just having fun with it. Only thing I don't like about it is these 1/64 scale figures are way too expensive. So I wanted to get some like wrappers and some cholos here to, put. And it's just like they're too expensive. They're like $15 for like one guy. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Okay, and I don't want them painted. I'll paint my own guys. Like I can paint figures. Like I don't know how to airbrush, but I can paint figures. We could definitely do figures. All right, now this Iraqi sand, this is going to go up on the sides a little bit. Thanks for coming by, fellow Gaslander. I was waiting for somebody who says, well, you're not really playing Gaslands. You're not playing exactly by the set of rules. Okay, fine. I'll come up with a better fucking name of it for, like, Blastlands. you know? Oh, and I don't like calling things cans. How many cans is it? Like, you know, points. But there's a couple of things that work really well for it. The way I'm running it is all the cars are pre-built, so you're not spending an hour and a half. You know, nobody else that I play with wants to build their own cars, like physically. Like, that's fine. I'll take that on. That's the part I enjoy. It's the part I can share with you guys. Yeah, see this? We're just gonna use the side of the brush, and we're gonna get some. I work in a really dusty environment, and it takes no time for the dust to like catch on the corners and stuff. And you can see this stuff, but you got to do that at the end. You don't want to do it with what's really fresh. There's all kinds of little edges and things on this that it helps if you make them stand out. And this is the part that we're waiting to do the tire. We don't want this mud. This tire has not been used. Backstory of the spare tire. So we'll get almost all this stuff off, and then we're going to lightly dry brush this tire to make the tread pattern on it stand out. And I also, the first thing I noticed is you can do whatever you want. I don't want to build a car with stuff on it that the car doesn't have, okay? Because first of all, I have a lot of spare parts. I don't want to use them all on one vehicle. Like, there's other vehicles, and they need to look different from each other. So, like, if you're looking at the Velvet Vato has a machine gun at the front and a machine gun at the back, and they're on there, right? It doesn't have a ram because the car doesn't have a ram. You know, so it's designed to be a 27-point vehicle. This has rockets and a ram. That's all it has. It doesn't have other things on it. I don't want to put a machine gun, even though it would look cool, but the car itself doesn't have it. So I work it backwards. You see people like, hey, I got this cool car, and it is a cool car, but they haven't named it. They haven't like built what's equipped with. I'm like, no, we do everything the other way around. You know, I like design it, come up with a name. Actually, I go to the store. I'm like, okay, this would be a cool vehicle, Fandango. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to work that in there, but it'll be in the name somewhere, right? And we'll design it before we even start working on it. That's just the way I operate. That's a huge part of the enjoyment is the false advertising of it. You know, American Diorama Muscle Mechanics might be some good figures for you. 5 figures, $20. Yeah, it's expensive, and a lot of them are painted. You know, a lot of them are painted, and I'd want to unpaint them. Let's see. You made a comment about building the cars. Yeah, a lot of people don't care. No one wants to make their own cars. That's 90% of the fun for me. I agree. That is 90% of the fun for me. And the other thing that's worked really well is design the cars so they're all basically the same point value. These are all 27-point vehicles. So you just show up, flip the cards upside down. I've got a card made out. You'll appreciate this because finally somebody plays this stupid game. Let me show you this. This has been instrumental. Let me just find it. It should be there, and it isn't. Sons of bitches. Where is it? Yeah, move it over here. Yeah, it's not supposed to be here, dumbass. You'll get a kick out of this. Oh, and I didn't leave the cheat sheets at Mitch. I blamed him for something. Well, he should pick his fucking place up. That's chaos. Every vehicle I have, I'm a few behind. Every vehicle I have has a printout of it. I'm sorry it's backwards. Let's see. We can fix that. We can fix that temporarily. Make sure there's nothing wet here. Okay, every vehicle I have has a card for it. And it's just easy to find. You put the dice on here where they go. And this is version 1 that I've done, and this works pretty well. So everything's 27-point vehicle, you know, Methcalade, the boom bus. You know, it's just what done with Excel. I just take a photo of the vehicle, put it up there so it's easy to find. It's kind of color coded, like this vehicle's mostly like a bluish color, so let's make some blue. And I've got a couple different categories. I've got like the 27-point, and the larger vehicles are like 35 points, something like that. You know, every one of them has all kinds of, and this is just the very first version of it. But this saves a lot of time. So you just flip these over. Which one are you going to play? And, you know, we're here to have a good time. So if, you know, you want to play a different one, you play a different one. But it keeps people from like, I always play this car. I don't play anything else. I'm only going to play, you know, Hippie-Ki-Yay every time it goes on there. And it's like, that just creates turmoil that's not needed, you know? And it also keeps me honest as well. It keeps me from having the attitude of like, well, nobody gets to play this new vehicle until I play it. Well, the reality is I'm building things a lot faster than I'm playing them. So there's vehicles that I've had for a month that have never been played because I have so many. And I got like freaking 50 vehicles. And the last couple of them, I don't even have cards for them yet. That's how fast I'm turning them around. I can turn one of these around in a couple hours. You know, so that has been instrumental. So it's like, you know, I think last time we played, we're like, okay, take one big vehicle and another one. So like somebody had like Old Ben and like another redneck vehicle. I had the boom bus and Methcalade, and Mitch had what did he have? He had the white trash and something else. You know, so it keeps things moving. And you know, they're just communal vehicles. You know, and they're all built a certain way, you know, not stupid, but you know, I've got one vehicle, for instance, the Jaguar called Poppycock, and Poppycock is it's just a car and has additional armor on it. So now we only got one weapon, and the one weapon is a machine gun. So I've got one front-mounted machine gun, but it's got a skill where whatever that perk is called, it can't take more than 2 damage in a turn. Like, well, that might not be a very useful vehicle if you don't get shot at, but if you get shot at, it's like the best vehicle. Like if somebody fires like a huge cannon at it, it can only do 2 damage to it ever, you know, in that fire phase. So, you know, everything has a purpose, and, you know, play it in a different way. I'm going to go ahead and paint this strap. Do I still have some of this orange? Yep. So that part has worked really well. You can just get to playing instead of like, you know, the first couple times we played, you'd spend an hour and a half explaining how to build a car, and everybody would build a car, and you ended up like everybody had the same damn car. Like everybody wanted to have a submachine gun, and everybody wanted to have a minigun mounted on a turret. You know, it's like, can't have all that stuff. You know, with a RAM, like everybody's building the same damn car. I'm like, screw this, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to build the same vehicle over and over again. So that has really helped move things along and made it fun, and given each vehicle personality. And this orange is way too thin. Some of these colors are so old, and I think I got them and they were already so old that it just didn't go anywhere. But yeah, I love going to a store, seeing something like this would make a good vehicle. Perfect example is the Barbie Dream Camper. I saw one, and it's kind of a sought after vehicle, and I'm like, well, I gotta make the bimbo bomber out of this thing. So I kept the same graphics on it. I don't want to paint over the graphics; they look cool. But there's a lot of graphics, like on the back of this, everything was pink. I'm like, okay, well, we got to paint a bumper and a ladder and a spare tire and everything. They have good detail. It's just a matter of, you know, making them look lived in. But I've got several of these. I got to make a card for this one. I just finished this one up. The Wambulance. You know, you got a front ram, you got side and back exploding rams. It's got a harpoon. You know, but if it gets into a long fight with somebody, maybe it's not the right vehicle to have. Well, you got to play it a certain way. And sometimes you don't get a choice. Sometimes, you know, you activate at the wrong time and you get hosed, or you can get heavily damaged before you can make an impact on the game. Where the hell is my paper towel? I guess I'll get a new one. But it is a great game. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me because I get to be creative and come up with names, and I enjoy that part of it a lot. I could use my advertising degree that I don't have. All right, here we go. Let's get some of that. Squirting things on a paper towel works really well to get the moisture out of them. Got paint that's too watery. Usually can catch some of that. Where is the black paint? Here we go. I'm going to dispense with using metallic in this. It's just such a small thing. So we're going to just paint this like it looks like it belongs on it. I do have one vehicle that's going to look all cannibalized, but that's the one. But appreciate you coming by, man. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm on here all the time doing Gaslands stuff. That's what I'm doing all the time. You know, Philip. God, my name sucks. Philip Browder. And I post all my stuff on the two Gasland groups on Facebook. So yeah, this is pretty much what I'm doing now. Is this. But I've only been painting these vehicles for a couple months now. And I'm probably having more fun with this than I've had in a long time with anything else. There's other games I've had a lot of fun with, okay? It's not like there's anything wrong with this game. I've played a lot of other games. The disappointment I'm having is like, I finally read through the rule book and said, okay, what other kind of game modes are there other than Death Race? Because Death Race is really good for like newcomers to kind of understand it. And I'm underwhelmed with the other game types. So just have to create my own type of game types. But I paint live on here. I've been doing this for several years. It just happens to be that I've just gotten into the Gaslands recently. Gotten back into it. We played it 7 or 8 years ago, and I wasn't the one running everything. And the guy that was running everything kind of stepped away. He moved out of state, and I'm like, well, I want to give this a shot now. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. What's your favorite part of the build process, and do you have a favorite build you've done? Can I do a hearse in the future, please? I don't own one, but yes. Okay, but I get to name it. Seriously, I'll do a hearse. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for one. My favorite build. God, I've had so many. My favorite process is putting details on the vehicle that the model has. And here's the other thing. A lot of people go and they build a lot of vehicles that look like this. Okay. Now this is cool, but this is a make-believe truck. It's a make-believe 50-ish, 1950s, a 1950-ish type truck called Fast Gasson, right? And it was in some loud chrome ass colors or whatever. So we had to tone this thing down. We actually repainted this whole one. I don't like to do that. I like to take a vehicle that looks like a vehicle and like, okay, there was lights on there and they decided not to paint them. So let's paint the lights on them. My favorite one is probably the Ford Escort, which isn't here anymore. It's packed away. And just adding like headlamps and stuff on there that are on the actual model. I'll show it to you. That's on the actual model, but the guys at the paint factory decided, like the designer of the vehicle put it on there, but they decided for whatever reason not to put it on there. Let's see. Oh, it's right here at the top. So this is the primitive way that I carry the cars, and I leave them in here. These are rolled up like little tampons, I guess. And they're not tight, so there's not a whole lot of tension on them. But laser focused. It's just a little Ford Focus with one laser turret at the top. And the reason I like this is, and I'll flip the video around so you can see a little better. It's better with this other camera, with the other side of the camera. Yeah, I'll do a hearse. It's hard to find hearses. It's hard to find police cars too. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, see, it looks a lot better from this angle. As we're getting there. We still have to paint the jerry cans and stuff on there. But this particular vehicle, they make it. This is a Hot Wheels. None of these rear lights were painted on. It had a Ford emblem, and of course I didn't write Ford on there. That's asking too much. But made it look like it's got kind of like something on there. Had the RS logo already on there in 3-dimensional. They just decided not to paint it. But the front of this, like for instance, the front, all this was one color. None of this grille was painted. None of these lights were painted. Nothing. It was all this frog green overall. Had these sponsors on there. Had that Ford logo for the sponsors. Had the RS logo. Had the nice striping. It just didn't have any of the stuff that the car itself would have. That's my favorite part to do. Like, it's already on there. All you have to do is paint it. And make it look, like a graphic novel. I say comic book, but like a graphic novel. And then weather it. And add drippings like the rust and stuff on there. This is probably my favorite one. Because it's so simple. I didn't have to do much to it. So I don't like vehicles dude, that's sick. Loving those lights. The laser gun bit's a bit is chef's kiss. I'll have to look and I'll have to find out what the hell that means. But I like doing that kind of stuff. This is a crazy. I mean, I wouldn't drive something like this, but this is like perfect for this. So like this Impala, everything was chrome. The inside was chrome. But the lights weren't painted. So he painted the headlamps, painted the rear lights, weathered it, added extra armor. And just the other day, I found the new skill when we're building this. This is Guns and Hoses. This is a recommissioned fire truck or whatever. It's some futuristic type fire truck it's got a minigun underneath there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's down here at the bottom. It's got a big chin, so I figured good place to hide a minigun underneath there. And this was all open on the sides here. So I created these armor plates. And that's all made out of the top of these containers of cottage cheese, basically free, including these little armored plates. We glued that on top of it. All this is all little pieces of that plastic. So it's really cool to just what can you do to make things look neat that cost basically no money? They're like no risk. All this is just multiple pieces of this piece of plastic. So what I found is I actually found a use for the super glues. Because I have 3 super glues. Okay. I knew about 2 of them. I have this ultra thin, which is waterier than water, right? Ultra liquid control. And this is the standard super glue. This one right here. Gel control, right? It fills in a little bit. And I have this one that I didn't know about until a couple of years ago. One of the 3D printing guys turned me onto it. And it's repositionable gel. Now, this repositionable gel, you can put it down. It's almost like the consistency of honey. And you can put it down and move and adjust things. So with something like this, if you add these little plates and you don't get it right in the right spot when you use this super glue, you end up getting it stuck and you have to pop it out. So what you do is you put one little drop of this to kind of move it around to get it in the right place, right? Almost like if you were using white tack or something, right? So you put one little drop of this. I mean, you got to like apply it with like a toothpick or something like that under this spot wherever you want it, and really anything. Position it where you want it with this. And then after it's done, use an old paintbrush and run this over it and then run it across the edges like if you were using like weld cement. And this stuff is so thin, it'll get in there and tie it together. And that's worked really well for me. And it actually allowed me to find a use for this shit right here, because this is extremely difficult to use. You know, that sand looks top tier. Well, you know, when I was doing the weathering on my tanks, on my 1/72 scale tanks, this is the triad of colors that I use for dry brushing. Chocolate brown, US field drab, and Iraqi sand. And I use them for anything from Russia to somewhere in Europe or whatever. So all my Shermans and everything, I'm already used to using these three colors, and they work really well together. So I just brought that weathering to this, and it does. This is not airbrush weathering. This is dry brushing. It works really well, you know. So, unfortunately, you can't see all this because I'm not a camera guy, right? Like I'm not an expert on like filming shit. I'm just hanging out, painting stuff, and you guys are here with me. Right? I never will be, you know, but as you can see, the camera from this angle is a hell of a lot better than the camera from the other angle. You know, like this is this Bond vehicle. It just has a little bit of a wash. But the first thing I did is, the secret to these things is find something that you like, right? Give it a clear coat of flat, right? Just a clear coat of flat, and then I take strong tone, right? I take strong tone, which is just a brown wash, and you can thin it with water however you want, and just apply it over the entire vehicle. So you don't have this surface that looks like exactly the same color. Like this looks, I mean, you can't tell that much, but over here looks a little bit different than over here, and a little bit, you know, you add some other little modulation is what some people like to call it. And then just start from there. Sounds crazy. Would it ever make real dirt? No, it'd be too grainy. It would be too grainy. But tear open a tea bag and use those for texture. No. Some people do use it for like leaves. Now I'm looking through the camera like, man, these look pretty good from here. You know, but like this, even with this thing being just kind of monochrome, there's all kinds of subtle little colors to this. And this was easy to do. I did this one live. So it's a great hobby. It's cheap as fuck. It really is. It really is cheap as fuck. Let's unplug this. And you know, this is easy to do for me because we've got a lot of experience weathering stuff. So the colors that are here in the stand, that's those three colors. That's those three colors I just talked about. All these weatherings all have all that. And these are fun to do, but you know what? This game isn't, nothing is accessible to play as Gaslands is. So Gaslands, I can build things, and drove through a desert, that'd be these guys up here. So it's just a trick. It's a trick that's repeatable. Here's one of my Africa Core guys. So this is a 3D printed tank. But it doesn't matter what paint you use. One of my favorite things I've ever painted is still this little Italian house. This is all painted with craft paint. So, yeah. Check out my shit on the Facebook page for Gaslands. We got the Crash and Burn Cantina. Yeah, this is just made out of a garbage piece of cardboard that a razor came in. This is a great hobby, man. I love this stuff, you know. And we got this shit coming up. We got clowns coming. And again, I'm not going to repaint these graphics. These graphics are pretty freaking cool. We'll work them into the look of the vehicle. But look at the front of this. None of that is painted. No lights, no stains, no grill, none of that. That's all going to be painted. It's going to look awesome, you know. Might keep the green rims on this thing. And that's loud and obnoxious, but here's another one. Now the gold's got to go. Gold's got no place in this hellhole. You know, they'd strip it and sell it for fake gold. So, sawdust. That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there. And a lot of stuff that's like, okay. Look, the reality is if you're happy with it as a creator, that's all that's important. Right? It doesn't matter what I think about your creations. If you like them, it's going to make you to make more of them. So I don't have negative comments about people's stuff. You know, as I've said before, this could be your therapy that keeps you from turning into a mass murderer. I don't want to send you off on a killing spree. You know. Anyhow. Yeah. Laser focused. That's what it is. I can't come up with a name. I'm like, oh, laser focused. Perfect. Actually, I came up with a name, and then I'm like, oh, let's put a laser on it. I didn't like, it's automatically going to have a laser. I actually come up with a name first, generally. So, could you ever make a vehicle with chainsaws coming out of the sides, like an ankle chopper? I could. You could have side rams. Yep. That would be considered a side ram. Do I have any? No, I don't have any, but they do make them. I do have one that has a bunch of spinning saw blades on the front. Well, I have the saw blades. I haven't built it yet. So, yet. Got lots of stuff ahead. Okay, back to Firebomb Fandango. All right, so we've got that done. It's time for what I like to call the drippings. One of my favorite things to do. Make drippings. What? Soft tone. Mid-brown. And I believe the other one is light tone. Wherever it is. Here it is. I got stuff pretty organized, but it's not pretty organized right now. I have to stop and pull things out and show you guys. Nah, it was a mess anyways, but hopefully it's inspiring, you know. I'm having fun. I don't mind sharing my inspirations with everybody. You know, I've only been doing this for a couple months, but we've been painting for a while. We've been painting for a while. Same, I compliment everyone's work. It all comes down to people enjoy rather than get excited to play. They give negative feedback on their work to discourage me. I don't discourage people. I don't discourage people. Look, if I took a picture of the stuff that I did a while ago, I'd find it embarrassing. But the internet has really made us all better because you can see other ideas, other products, like, oh, I never thought about doing that, you know. we don't all have to invent the wheel, you know? So I'm just kind of mixing a blend, not putting any thought into it. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take places where maybe there's corrosion would build up. I should need a little bit darker than that. And add some shadows and other colors. Especially places like around here. All this iron, steel and stuff. I don't know why it's like extra watery today. I guess I put too much water into it. Got excited. So, you know, something like this, maybe you got something that got rusty and is dripping down. Really enjoy doing this part. And this makes a big difference, doing it or not. Still haven't painted the jerry cans. No big deal. And I do this after the dust because I don't want to like come up with something really cool and then cover it in dust and you can't see it, you know, so. What time is it, 8:30? Yeah, we're going to have to stop by 9. Whether or not this is done. And then same thing in here, we've got some wheel that's in here, so let's paint that rim in there. Like it's corroded a little bit. And then you clear coat it when you're done, because that'll even out all the tones. So, you know, something like this, like it got rusty underneath here. And that rust dripped out. Same thing, this one's going to drip towards the back. It's going to catch on here. Small LEDs? Nah, be out of scale. No, I'm not an electrical guy. I did think about getting some, speaking of LEDs, I did think about getting one of those storefronts. There's a bunch of things on Amazon that are like storefronts of like, you know, like Chinese noodle shop or something like that, right? And it's just like a little diorama. Maybe it might only be like 10 inches by 8 or something like that. You can park your car in front of it. I thought I might get one of those, but they're $16 or $20. I can't really integrate them in the game unless I get a lot of them. And they're going to need weathering, you know, and I have enough to do. So, no, I haven't decided to do that. So, they modify a Walmart truck or a police car, or maybe even an English post van or a milkman truck. Do you have a P.O. box? I could send you a few English vehicles. I do not have a P.O. box. Please don't send me any vehicles. I appreciate. How about this? Point me in the direction where they're at. I have hundreds of vehicles to do. And I'd feel bad if you sent me something, I know I'd sit on it. So I appreciate the gesture. I had a friend of mine who like, hey, sent me like a bunch of vehicles, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I don't need more, you know, and really any vehicle is pretty cool. Like I've got some trash vehicles that I made look pretty good. But I do have a British Jeep. I do have Poppycock. I'll show you Poppycock. Are you over there in Britain? I'm gonna show you Poppycock just because you're over there in Britain. Where is she? Let me see if I can find her. Let's see. This is laser focused. Let's wrap her back up. Let's wrap this thing back up as a chalupa. Chrome Carl, Red Dead War. This is Red Dead Warhead is a cheap ass freaking Maisto truck. It looks like crap from this angle. See when I turn the camera, how it looks so much better? That's what I get to see. Okay, you guys get to see, unfortunately, the crappy one. You know, it's just these lights have too much kickback, as I like to call it. It like kicks back too much light, and it makes it look more washed out than it is. Where's Poppycock? Poppycock's towards the bottom, probably. I haven't used her in a little while. But I wanted to have a Union Jack on her, so I cut a Sunburner, Jerry Skids, Hippie-Ki-Yay, Falco Rosso. Who's this? This is a Wreck. It's a Wreck. Mud Puppy. The Boom Bus. White Trash. Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones. It's just a garbage truck. It's an old Matchbox garbage truck that they're actually much bigger than I realized, to be honest. Oh, you thought they were smaller? You know, if they were smaller, I'd probably do a better job of painting them. I'm used to painting really small things. Methcalade. I probably shouldn't have promised something I couldn't deliver on. Well, it's in here somewhere. I don't want to take them all out because they're all like wrapped up. But yeah, I got to do a count. I've got probably close to 50. Probably close to 50 of them. So you thought they were smaller, huh? Some people do racing with micro machine size vehicles. The problem with micro machines is they're all tuned. You know, they're all cartoon shaped, which may or may not be what you want to see. I had a little bit of a headache. But anyways, this is what we do. This is our therapy, as I like to call it. And one of the coolest things is you go to Walmart or Target or anywhere and go like, oh, well, we're shopping for other things. Let me go over to the toy section and see what they have. I don't always buy anything. It's not like I'm, a compulsive buyer. The thing about these vehicles is like, if you find something that you like, you better get it, because after a while, they're not available anymore. It makes it really difficult to get them because they get discontinued. And since I'm actually just enhancing, not repainting these vehicles for the most part, I want ones that have a certain type of graphics on them. I seek them out. Not one I can just repaint. Because, like, for instance, this Durango, I don't know if that's the story on this Durango. This is a 2001. And if I was going to repaint it, it doesn't really matter whether I have the 2001 version or the 2003 version, because they'll remake the body with different paint schemes. But if I want this particular paint scheme, well, then I need to get this particular one. And then on the front of this thing's going to be mounted like so. And I'm going to use hot glue gun, because it's not messy. did 15 millimeter stuff for a while, but I'm really a 20 millimeter guy, and this is kind of the same scale as 20 millimeter. Give or take a little bit. Give or take a little bit. I got 20 millimeter crews and stuff like that that'll work on there. Only Matchbox cars were wait. Yeah, I can't see that. It's Miles here. Just hoping everybody, including you, have an amazing day. You got a like also. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. It helps other people see it that might be interested in this. You know? Old Matchbox cars were way better. All the doors open and the bonnet lifted up. It was all die cast, no plastics. I never got to see any of those. The Tamicas, back in the 70s, they had these, what they called Tamica pocket cars. And the front of the package actually had like a pocket, like a blue jeans pocket. I guess because you could put it in your pocket, you know, small car. And those all would tell you what scale they were. And they had realistically sized tires. They weren't all like racing slicks, you know. If you drop one on your toe, it hurt like heck. That ambulance is it is a Matchbox, and it's the bottom of it is metal and the top of it is metal, and it was a pain to drill out. It was a real pain to drill out. Come on, we good? Yeah. Really? All right. So we're just going to splooge this on. I know I'm gonna, but you painted it and it looks so good. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. And attach this like so. And then we have our RAM. It's kind of a pain that a RAM costs a build slot, but if not, even more vehicles would have RAMs than they already do. And the RAMs are a really good weapon, but I don't want everybody with a RAM. Because otherwise, you play every vehicle differently. Then it's just, oh, well, it's just a token and they all behave the same. And the thing is, a hot glue gun doesn't glue really well, but it does have some flexibility. So it'll flex before it breaks off. Whereas super glue is like, as soon as it flexes a little bit, you're done. You have to replace it. Yeah, this is this guy's coming along. This guy's coming along. We're almost done with her. I'll have to keep my eye out for a hearse. Haven't seen one. The cursed hearse. You know, but it's the same thing. You know, like I haven't done this for very long, but we've been working on our skills with other similar type things. Just like if I was ever to, God help me, do Warhammer, no plans on doing that. I'd probably do some pretty decent Warhammer stuff right off the bat. Now, it won't be like the Warhammer experts, but the reason I prime in black is because of Warhammer. The heavy metal painting guide showed people priming in black. So I too can be influenced by Warhammer. Ha ha! And these are bits, these machine guns are 3D printed by different folks. These dual AKs are Switchyard Studios, and the RAM and the, I guess I got to do the jerry cans. I just keep forgetting about them. Let's do, well, they're jerry cans, so let's paint them a jerry colored. Where's my German field grab? It was here just a second ago. World War II German field gray. Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Got yourself another sub. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Let's hang out together, man. I don't like doing this alone. It's boring. I mean, this thing looks a lot better than when I started. When I started, I'm like, orange fucker. You know, I don't know. That's Fandango, Fandango. What the hell goes with Fandango's not even Mexican, you know? It's Spanish. Isn't it the same thing? Yes and no. They actually make a model of a Spanish car. I didn't realize it was a Spanish car. I probably would have picked it up. They call it a Cupra. But I don't think I'll have a Spanish team. They just don't make enough things. Although we are going to have a French team. I did get Petite Wee Wee. That's the name of it. It's a tiny little Renault, like a vehicle that would, like, it's not big enough to be a casket for you if you got in an accident. It'd be like a pillbox. But it's exaggerated in scale, so it looks a lot bigger than it does. Because these are 1/64th, but they're not. Like this and this, okay, are not in scale with each other. This should be much smaller, or this one should be much bigger. Durango's a pretty big vehicle. Doesn't look like it here, but it's a pretty big vehicle. Same thing, this Lotus. This Lotus is the same length as the Durango. Well, the Lotus is freaking tiny, you know. So, you know, there's some believability. Same thing with, you know, some unbelievability. Same thing with this thing. This truck, this fast Gasson, is actually the same length as the Durango, which in reality probably should be 30% bigger than it really is. But I actually like them being condensed because in the game, in Gaslands, the longer your vehicle is, the farther you move. Because you get to move the template plus the length of your vehicle. It's also, the longer your vehicle is, the harder it is for you to get around, because you can, like, run into stuff a lot easier without wanting to. But that's what you get for using a long vehicle. Seat Cupra are beautiful little cars. I didn't know it was a real car. Want to make an Australian team? I have a Ford Falcon XB and a Holden Ute. And I got a friend sending me some 1/64th scale Holden Sandman cars from Australia. I don't know what that is. I have a purple Ute that is going to be grape shot. I didn't know what it was. I get this, and I'm like, to me, this looks like a Volkswagen Jetta. I mean, look at the front of it. It looks like a Volkswagen Jetta. No, not knocking it. This is going to be grape shot. We're going to have some kind of chain gun or something back there. I thought about possibly doing like some camouflage, like spray painting some camouflage, like, you know, like some rednecks in Australia got. I think I said, I ain't driving. Whatever the hell a redneck Australian guy sounds like. I ain't driving one of them damn purple people eater candy ass trucks. So we gotta manify it something. That's the same one you got. It's a great vehicle. Yeah, and I want to repaint it. Like, it's, you know, like, and it also helps you make it. Here's a perfect example. Somebody sent me this vehicle and it's junked. Okay, this is an 82 Camaro, a Z28, right? It's dinged up. Some kid decided to banging into things and ding this thing up, right? That's fine. We're going to patch up the dings and we're going to weather it, and we'll put the dings where we want the dings to be, not where they are here, right? But look at the striping work on this. Why would I repaint this? Like, it's already there. All I got to do is just do everything else around it. You know, and it's already decided for me a cool way for it to look. One of my favorite vehicles. Actually, which is your favorite vehicle? I don't know. I don't know which is my favorite vehicle. I don't know that I have one. But Nova Paint is gorgeous. Nova Paint is a Chevy Nova with beautiful, beautiful striping on it. And I'm not even going to show it to you without flipping the camera around. It's that beautiful. I really like it anyways. Let's flip the camera around so you guys get a good view. With the correct lighting. Remember, this lighting is set up for me to paint. So it's good like this. Yeah, this thing's looking a hell of a lot better. I mean, it looks fucking great. All right, so, and hopefully it's fun to play. Right, and now we've made the door frame and everything pop all little things pop on it. So when you're this far away from it, you know, kangaroo with boxing gloves. Let's take a look at Nova Pain. Nova Pain is absolutely gorgeous. Now, I'm not an American muscle car fan, but I could be if they look like this. Now, these huge laser cannon looking things, and they're not laser cannons, they're heavy machine guns. But, like the lights weren't on here. You painted up the lights. Look at the rust effects on here. I mean, I love the way this thing turned out. Just beautiful. You got some drippings there to make it look like it's something real. Love the way this thing turned out. This 3D printer really put a lot of thought into it. For instance, look at the small detail on the machine guns. He made them carbon copies of each other. So in other words, one's got the magazine feed on the right, one's got the magazine feed on the left. So there's in this example, all the shells and all the brass would just pile up in the middle. But I got another one that actually spit off to the side. But it looked better this way than the other way around. That's why I did it this way. But it's a beautiful vehicle. Why would I repaint this? The striping is, exquisite. And this is just the regular glass, and we just clear coated it. So it's just flat on it. It looks pretty damn good. Now, we did things like we painted see the door frames there? That was all clear. The little door frames there that are up on the side of the glass that are blue, we painted that on there. This is a beautiful car. So I don't want to turn this all black and rusty and shit. I want to go with the colors that it already has. So yeah, my cars are pretty damn colorful, but yeah, I mean, why would you repaint this? This is beautiful. Whoever designed this thing was like, they had their head on straight. So, I'm loving this car thing. I'm loving this thing. Here's these things. I mean, I wouldn't drive this thing, but the little loud ass freaking, Same thing with this one. Crimson Cuervo. And as we play it, is that a 1/16th? No. 1/64th. Oh, a one? No, it's yeah. They all should be the same scale to each other, or scale-ish to each other. All right, let's see if we can finish this guy up. But generally, the way I operate is I'll go through, look at them like, this would make a good car. What would I call it? That's how I go. And what would that thing called this be equipped with? In a different way from any other car. Like this one has no guns. This one just has rockets. And it's unfortunate that rockets takes 2 build slots, but it does. So this has rockets and a front ram. This has a front and rear machine gun, which I only have one other vehicle that has that. The green Screaming Mean. What the hell is it called? The Green Machine. Mr. Green Machine. Lord Green Machine. No, that's not it. All right, where were we? We're mixing up this German field drab. And we left a little bit of paint dry on there, so it's nothing a little bit of, oh, shit. Woo, I got lucky with that. Man, that's not a good place for this. I squeezed some hand sanitizer, and if it goes over a car, well, that's going to take some effort fixing it. That would just be unfortunate. I don't want to go and fix things when I could be creating new things instead. Oh, let's wrap Nova Paint back up. Wherever she ended up being here. So I know that they make cases for this. I don't want to buy it. I don't want to spend a couple $100 on it. And it still won't hold all the cars. and then it'll still put like pressures on them. Like I don't want to like them to be in, like I don't want to put a rubber band around that paper towel. Then it creates like this extra pressure on them, and either the paint or will scuff off, or I'll ding up a weapon or something like that. This is that black is dead. We need another black in here. And I just use craft paint for black and white. I mean, I go through enough of it in my style of painting. Not a complaint. That's just how it is. All right, then we're gonna go back to this, the core color, as I like to say. Hold on one second. And taller matchbox. Oh, we have in the UK. Yeah. Yeah, they used to put the scale on all of them anymore, and they're slacking on some of them. They don't have a preference. They're all the same to me. I just want to see what it is. I mean, I've got ones that are real generic Walmart-y type cars. They don't have interiors though. You know, my preference really is to have a plastic body and the steel under part, because then I can just drill through the plastic peg instead of having to go around it, which is what I do. I don't go through it. I watch the videos. They make it seem real easy. It's not that easy. I've done it many times, and it's nothing simple about that. Nothing simple about that. All right, let's get some, like they got some fuel drippings on here. I gotta leave pretty soon, so I'm hoping to get this just about done. And then we go post some of the video, post some of the pictures on there. Of course, you can't have rust in the front of this thing. All right, I'm going to call this thing pretty much done. So, one Firebomb Fandango coming right up. Looks a lot better than it started with it. Of course, it'll still get clear coated. I'm a little behind on that. So, we'll post pictures of this thing and we'll start our day. Maybe we'll be back on later on today. And appreciate you guys coming by and checking out the channel. I'm always working on this stuff live. And yeah, the Johnny Lightning ones are really expensive. So, all right, folks, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for coming by. See ya.